Hello, and welcome to Russia-Ukraine News, where we cover every latest on Russian invasion on Ukraine. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video. Poland has dispatched loads of tanks to Ukraine as a part of renewed heavy guns shipments to assist it win the war against Russia. Warsaw has dispatched greater than 200 T-72s, originally produced by the Soviet Union, into Ukraine in latest weeks, the country's national radio broadcaster stated today, along with mobile artillery, drones and rocket launchers as part of a $1.6 billion package. Ukraine's allies have vastly stepped up aid for Kyiv as fierce combating rages in the east, with Kyiv's generals nowadays saying that Russia is suffering colossal casualties inside the pivotal conflict for Donbas. Alexei Arestovich, a Ukrainian Secret Service veteran became presidential advisor, mentioned his navy is suffering critical losses on battlefields, inside the east however insisted that Russia's casualties are an awful lot worse. Meanwhile, Ukraine maintains to perform attacks in the back of Russian traces to reduce off vital deliver routes, with a gas sell-off inside the Donetsk place catching hearth place nowadays. Kyiv has now no longer mentioned wearing out any of the assaults that have additionally hit railway bridges and ammo dumps, however is broadly notioned to be orchestrating them. Earlier this week, a Ukrainian MP defined the blasts as karma. Russia is pouring troops into the conflict in Donbas so as to pressure a bloody victory, having been defeated in its preliminary purpose to hurricane in Kyiv, topple the government, and set up a puppet regime dependable to Moscow. After it became obvious they did now no longer have sufficient pressure to take the capital, Russia's generals yanked their gadgets out, patched them up as fine they could, after which threw them returned into the combat in Donbas. They additionally tailored their approaches, forsaking precision missile moves and speedy advances which noticed a mold round Kyiv in favor of sluggish advances in the back of partitions of blanket artillery and comparable tactics to WW1 trench warfare. The pass has met with mixed success. Ukraine has mentioned dropping manage of a few cities and villages, however has made profits elsewhere in counter-assaults. Supplies of heavier guns such as tanks, artillery cannons, precision munitions and anti-plane guns are designed to assist with the one's assaults at the same time as making sure the Ukrainians can break as an awful lot Russian device is viable inside the process. As proof of the West's determination to the mission, Joe Biden closing nighttime pledged $33 billion in resource for Ukraine such as $20 billion in Navy resource. "We want this invoice to aid Ukraine in its combat for freedom," Biden stated. The price of this combat, it is now no longer cheap, however caving to aggression, goes to be greater costly. Zelensky tweeted, "Thank you at POTUS and the American humans for his or her management in helping Ukraine in our combat towards Russian aggression. We protect not unusual place values, democracy and freedom. We respect the assist. Today it smiles wished greater than ever." Russia has stated the advent of Western hands into Ukraine method it smiles now combating a proxy conflict towards NATO. President Vladimir Putin threatened unspecified retaliation this week, at the same time as his overseas minister warned of a danger of nuclear conflict. Zelensky's workplace stated Russia become pounding the complete the front line inside the Jap Donetsk place with rockets, artillery, mortar bombs and plane. The Ukrainian general personnel stated Russia become shelling positions alongside the road of touch to save the Ukrainians from regrouping. Britain said combating were mainly heavy across the towns of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk, the primary part of the Donbas that Russia continues to be seeking to capture, with an trite increase south from Russian-held Izium towards Sloviansk. Due to robust Ukrainian resistance, Russian territorial profits were restricted and accomplished at significant price to Russian forces, the British Defense Ministry stated in an update. The bloodiest combating and worst humanitarian disaster of the conflict were in Mariupol, and Jap port decreased to a wasteland with the aid of using months of Russian bombardment and siege. Ukraine says 100,000 civilians are nonetheless in the city that's often occupied with the aid of using Russia. Hundreds of civilians are holed up with closing defenders in underground bunkers under a big metallic. Zelensky's office stated an operation was planned on Friday to get civilians out of the plant, giving no details. In the capital, normal life has largely lower back after weeks, wherein residents have been pressured to safe haven in metro stations from bombardment. The front line, which come proper to the outskirts of Kyiv in March, is now hundreds of miles away. Foreign dignitaries have been flying in to pay their respects to Zelensky and his government. But Russia can still hit the city with long variety missiles because it did on Thursday during a go-to via way of means of UN Secretary-General Guterres in what Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov called an assault on the safety of the Secretary-General and on world security. No one turned into killed, however, as a minimum 4 human beings were wounded in the missile strike in the capital, which blew out home windows and scattered rubble throughout the streets. Kyiv continues to be a risky area, and Kyiv continues to be the goal of Russians, of course. The capital of Ukraine is the goal, and they need to occupy it, Mayor Vitaly Klitschko stated, supervising the cleanup. On Thursday, Guterres visited Borodyanka, one of the Kyiv suburbs that Russia had occupied in March, leaving useless our bodies with inside the ruined streets while its forces withdrew. I believe my own circle of relatives in a single of these homes, now destroyed and black. I see my granddaughters running away in panic, a part of the own circle of relatives sooner or later killed, Guterres told journalists in Borodyanka, surrounded via way of means of scorched windowless apartment blocks. Innocent civilians have been residing in those buildings, they have been paying the very best rate for a struggle fare which they've now no longer contributed to at all. So guys, with that we have come to an end of this edition of the news. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time. Bye.